Oh crap, all this time I didn't add this to the stage. So for nearly 10 minutes, everything is blank or nobody was hearing anything. So, yeah. Okay. The blue lines, the live area line, which is the furthest one inside, that's where I've trimmed this page to finish over this page's live area line so that the live area is double. I'm trying not to lay the main character in where the fold would be. Also, I'm trying to keep in mind scale, because he's not a tall character, so I don't want to represent them as too tall. Hey, hey, Digital Phantom. For anyone else, I do not know whether that's going to make an appearance. But I'm glad there are people showing up. And I'll see what's going on. I guess I'm trying to see a hand, huh? So what I'm doing is using the draw free theory. I've got one basically lined up. The idea now is to draw right through whatever is in the way, and then either erase it later or black it out or whatever. This is a massive guy, but he's a short guy, so I'm trying to work in that type of a scale. while keeping in mind you don't want to run in these tangents intentionally. That's the thing that makes it hard, achieving it without having to. Finish this one, arrow 1, yep. You know, like, I don't know if I'd say that there was dead space in the last book, but it definitely didn't go the direction that I was thinking it was going to go. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. Do you feel like it's really reiterating the same information or showing you a different angle of that information? I mean, it's all valid, but I liked it. I just, I did not expect that that was going to be the end or if that was where it was heading. I think that might have been part of the idea, is to subvert your expectations. You'll hear that a lot. Yeah, I guess that kind of happens too when you're writing, or especially, yeah, when you're writing a big series like that. Anyway, they're not really small volumes, but sometimes the writer forgets what he put in, but he knew what he was wanting just to say. But Brandon writes a lot and pretty quick. And you got a conclusion to that story, right? Now the question is, does it make you want to know what happens next? Like, what happens next in that world? Because I think that's really, at the end of the day, if you don't want to read what happens after that, then that's a failure. And if you do want to read what happens after that, or what the next chunk of it's about, then it's a win anyway, right? That's like his title. Like, the original book wasn't titled Mistborn. That was the tour, not knowing that it was supposed to be, I think, the Final Empire, something like that. You'll see it in small print, I guess, if you have an older copy. I don't know about the newer copies, but definitely the older copies, because I have one or two. Should be drawing the old one first. Yeah. That, that was, I thought that was the strength with Brandon Sanderson, is that he's able to finish his stories. Even the one that he's writing now is planned to be a massive 10-volume set. I think he's already on volume 5, and it's like, those are door stoppers. So, but if you're looking for a master of prose, that's not what you're going to find in Brandon's stuff. I mean, when I say master of prose, I mean a stylist. Episodes, yeah. I don't know really if I can say much about that, but how much of it is them trying to squeeze it out, or the audience wanting more of it? Because you've got both, and both are, I don't want to say valid, but I do want to say valid, because although I want an end to the story, so that's one of the things I have against Game of Thrones. One of the reasons I stopped reading Game of Thrones, because I started reading it long before there was a TV show. But I stopped reading it because he let it go to the TV show, and he actually gave them the ending. So the ending they filmed, they rushed it, but it was the ending he had planned. And nobody liked the ending. I mean, yeah, they rushed it, but nobody really liked how it ended anyway, so. Who would I consider master of prose? That's a good question. That's a tough one. Let's see. Depending on, prose's style. If prose is when I say I wouldn't consider him a master of prose or whatever, which is not what I said. I just said he's not a master of prose. Uh, those are stylists like Hemingway that, while he can have a 250 word sentence, the flow of that sentence doesn't read like a 250 word sentence, right? Like I think his maximum is actually 150, but that's about a half of a manuscript page. Manuscript page is generally 250 words. So I think Hemingway was good, and it's not that Brandon's bad. I mean, because obviously there's any bestseller. Like we had this discussion and argument already, but any bestseller is a bestseller for a reason. Somebody likes something about it enough to make it a bestseller. Enough people liked enough about it to make it a bestseller. So, and I like Brandon's work. I like Brandon as a person. I've met him. So it's like I don't want to make it out to sound like I don't think he's any good or whatever. But he'll read redundancies, and that's kind of what you're talking about is the redundancies. There are some people who, like, if you read Robert Silverberg is a good example. Robert Silverberg has a book called Roma Eterna, and it is basically a book of short stories that tell one overarching story, and it's a story of the Jews in Rome. Well, actually, Rome. Huh? I want to say it starts in Egypt, but they're Jews in Rome, and then not actually coming out of Roman control, and Rome staying an empire for much longer than they did. So it's kind of an alternate history, because really it doesn't end for the Romans in that book until the space age. So, but the story is told in different short stories throughout time, and different people on different sides of the story. So, like one short story will be from the Israelites' perspective, and one story will be from a Roman's perspective, and then they'll do that throughout time until you get to the last part of the story. So, but he's pretty much a master of point of view, and you can see it in Roma Eterna with all the short stories, because each one leads you kind of to a different place. And ends up making complete sense because it all fits together at the end. Once I had read that book, actually, I developed a huge appreciation for Robert Silverberg, who writes fantasy and science fiction, but he also wrote, I think, romance and kind of smut novels and stuff quickly on the side. So, I mean, I don't know where that gets me with it, but it's interesting that a writer does that. Dean Koontz did that too. Dean Koontz wrote smut novels. He said he needed to make the money, but he would never tell anybody what the smut novels were or what the name he wrote them under. The pseudonym that he wrote them under would be. I find that really amusing. That someone that is that versatile, and you'll never know that versatility until later. You read The Wheel of Time? There are things that are just I I think there's got to be something at the core. I really do. Like 50 Shades of Grey is the best example of basically coming down full of shit. But there is something in there that women wanted because women made it a bestseller. And you got to remember that women are probably the largest group of readers. Well, no, they're definitely the largest group of readers of fiction, period. So appealing to what a woman wants to read, and this woman knew because she basically took Twilight and made it kind of mixed it with Wild Orchid or something, and made basically smut books. But those smut books sold. Why did they sell? Because there was an audience that wanted it. And that's the thing, is if there's an audience that wants it, I'm not saying that it's for you or for everybody or whatever, but I'm saying is if there's an audience that wants it, there's a supply to the demand. You see what I mean? Like, it's not a mob mentality, it's just something that somebody wants. They don't care if it's great prose because they're not reading it for the prose. They're reading it for the little kinky shit that's in there. I am not making a judgment on it, you know what I mean? I'm saying that there is a desire for it. So best-selling, she is definitely not a master of prose, by the way, since we were talking about prose to begin with. And that kind of makes me laugh to think about it, because that whole Gilbert Gottfried reading that cracks me up every time, because she is not a master of prose. But there's a lot of best-selling authors that are not masters of prose. A master of prose. When I'm talking about mastery of prose, I'm not talking about like that should be everyone's goal. I think that should be up front too, because it's not going to be everyone's goal. And I don't think it should be everyone's goal, because, like, I write escapist fiction. The stuff that I write is meant to help you escape from the real world. Help me escape from the real world, because it's fucking heavy out here. And we get sick and tired of all the stuff that's forced on us all the time, and not being allowed to make off-color jokes, and that doesn't mean literally off-color, but like, we get tired of all the restrictions that people are placing on us, and it makes us want to rebel, right? So when we see something that fits that rebellion, that fits that thinking, we're naturally going to be attracted to it and go want to read it or buy it or whatever. So I write stuff that I want to read. I just try to write it, and I'm not a master of prose either, by the way. I just try to write it in a way that is understandable for the most part by everybody, and I like to delve into the characters enough to want their point of view, for you to be able to fall into their point of view. I want you to be immersed in what's going on. And if I can do that with a character's point of view, then I've succeeded. And if you escape from the miserable shit that everybody deals with every day for a few hours a day or whatever, then I feel like I've succeeded. And that's what my goal is. I'm not trying to preach to you or trying to tell you what should be the right way or whatever. What I'm trying to do is help you find a place that's not battering you with politics all the time. I'm writing about King Arthur now, and I'm trying to do it more accurate and trying to keep it on a level that younger readers can read. And let me tell you, that is not an easy task. because Arthur's time period was pretty brutal. It was 500 AD, around 500 AD. There's argument to how early or late it was, but they're assuming the real Arthur, if there was a real Arthur, according to the literature that there is on him, or the oldest literature there is on him, that Arthur died somewhere around 530, 38, 37 to 545. But they have no direct evidence of any of it, so. Oh, thanks. What I'm trying to do, really, I mean, that's the fun part of drawing this thing, right? and nothing is, I want it to look like it's receding. That's the key. That's the hard part too, to make it look real enough, but also make it look receding, and to make this one look big enough to match this one, but not be so big that it looks like it's right there too. I was talking about this in the fan server that the only person that can tell you when something's done is you, so you can just go on and on and on if you want to. Yeah, so So good prose and good prose in science fiction fantasy, because that's really, if we're gonna break it down, that's actually the genre we're talking about. And if I'm making a judgment, I should be making a judgment in the genre we're talking about, right? So what I think for better writers of prose, Ben Bova was an excellent prosician. I don't really know the term. I have to look that up. But I'm not going to use that because I'm wrong. Ben Bova wrote science fiction too. He was also an agent for like Orson Scott Card, who also is an excellent writer of prose and did a lot of teaching to help people learn to write better prose. I think Robin Hobb wrote good prose. Although I feel some of her work is better than others. And I'm not opposed to first-person stories, so what's black? My Twitch stream is dark, huh? That's weird. It says it's not. It's live. Let's see what's going on. I can see it on Twitch. Can you see it now on Twitch? Because I just opened Twitch and I see Digital Phantom so hello on Twitch. Yep. I don't know. Thing says offline. So underneath of it says what? I don't know. Maybe something going on with Twitch, or maybe they don't want me talking. I don't know. That's possible. They wouldn't be alone in that. We would not be alone in that. The numbers of people that want me talking, I can count in the viewer. Yep. Oh, it's cool. It gets the numbers up there, but maybe that's part of the reason. I don't know. I really don't understand Twitch a lot. I have yet to go in there and figure out how to make mods and such. You gotta find a few good mods, just people that are gonna show up and be here all the time. And they won't abuse it. Because although I have one viewpoint politically, I don't care if anybody else has their own. That's the point. Like I like the idea of everybody having their own point of view. It makes us stronger as a people. Well, his face isn't going to get cut in the middle of the page. Being promising his hand is going to look right. I'm going to keep seeing the fans around. Now it's live. Okay, cool. Wow, these lights are hot. That is not my pencil with the eraser. Is that Jerry? Maybe it is. So yeah, I mean, this desk is a 2-foot wide desk. And these pages are 11 by 17, so basically you've got two 11-inch wide pages, which, you know, ends up being pretty close to the width of the desk. Trimmed it down by roughly an inch, roughly 2 inches. So I guess this desk is a little bit wider than 2 foot, but not a whole lot. The usual brush is not here. Please do that's smooth. Alright, so the question is, like I said earlier in the server, is that readable? Is it believable? So those are the two key elements. It has to be readable, it has to be believable. I'll worry about perfecting it later. And yeah, I like that arm, but I like muscles, so you know, that's just kind of the natural proclivity. Notice I stopped before putting veins in because I don't believe if you're wearing a protective suit, you will see the veins through anything that's thick enough to protect you. Could be just me, but that's my belief. So he will show no veins if he's wearing his suit. At least what I draw. Let's see. So are you easy? Yes, yes. Don't be shy. Easy. You know what the don't be shy was in reference to. I missed it. Sorry. I do intend to ink them. I intend to complete these pages even if nothing else is ever done on it, because I'm the type of person that makes a commitment and sticks with the commitment until the bitter end. So I don't know if this will ever go anywhere from here, but what kind of an example would I be, which is kind of the whole point, right? If I didn't finish what I started, when I'm telling people, you've got to finish what you start. And don't say hypocrite, because everybody's a little bit of a hypocrite. You may not admit it, but everybody finds something that someone does that they don't like that they do. Sometimes that's why they don't like it being done to them, because they do it. No, see, this is not right. This is not right because the way his hand is turned. But for the time being, just going to correct it enough to know it needs to be worked. Again, readability is the main issue. Storytelling is key. Storytelling is king, right? Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's why there are pencilers and inkers, because there are people that are their proclivity is to pencil. They do it well. There are people that are inkers that can uh, they can come up with some textures that regular pencilers can't, and that's something. There's a difference between like a regular inker that's, I think they hate to be called tracers because they are really embellishers, and a lot of these inkers. Scott Williams is a great inker. Uh, I'd say Richard Friend is as well, and Alfredo Alcala was a great inker. There, Nebas, Joe Sinnott or Sinnott. Um, Great inkers. But the reason they were great inkers is because they were embellishers. They took something that was there and made it better. Uh, I think that's just as admirable and just as strong uh, a piece of art as the penciler would do by themselves. I know probably some people will sneer at that, but I've seen artists that ink themselves that I am not impressed very much with their inking skills. But when left to someone who knows what they're doing with pen or brush, the work or the piece comes out incredible. Jim Lee's okay when he's inking himself, but he's not as good as when Scott Williams is inking. And he knows it. That's why he took Scott Williams with him when he left Marvel. That's why he paid him enough to keep him with him. I remember watching I want to say an event at one of the Comic Cons where Jim Lee actually presented Scott Williams with a gold watch for all the time that he had been with him and making this stuff better. That's the kind of thing, that makes you appreciate that. Jim Lee is known as one of the greats, and I'm not going to argue the fact that he is one of the greats. I think he is one of the greats, but he's much more one of the greats and much more memorable because of the things that Scott Williams was able to do with his work. Danny Meekie's a great inker. I'm not going to be insulting, but I think he's much better as an inker than as a penciler or concept artist. But that's the thing, like, we all have skills, and if we know what our limitations are or what our skills are or what we want it to look like or whatever when we're done, that's different than if you're coming in and just trying to tell a story and you got a final in it. Because I believe that they really, the whole reason they started hiring inkers like that is because they were on a time crunch, and the inkers would be inking pages before the pencilers were finished doing the whole issue. So last I knew, and granted this was a while ago, they wanted to have like 6 months ahead of time already set in a book before they started releasing it. So hiring a separate inker, that's a great way of making sure that's achieved. I have talked to other people about inking, by the way. They just either don't seem interested, which, I don't blame them. A lot of them have their own ideas and own projects, or want to go about it their own way, or conceive the art in their own way. Totally understand that, wanting to be free to be who you are. But it's not like I haven't considered other interests. I kind of wish there was a larger team, but we're also not funded. Like we're not doing the Indiegogo campaign or something before we're starting to do this book. We started to do the book actually as a learning and experience a learning experience for us, and also a learning experience for anyone that's thinking about doing this for a living and seeing what it actually entails, so that nobody gets disheartened if it doesn't happen as fast as they want it to, or it doesn't seem like they can draw as fast as they want to, or whatever. So basically, I'm making mistakes, but I'm making mistakes for everyone that watches, so that they can go, oh, that was a mistake, let's not do that. I'm just trying to put an elbow in, and I don't think you're going to see it from there. I'll find a reference sometime, but I don't think so. I remember early on, watching YouTube to pick up some tricks, see anybody that was drawing comics if they were doing YouTube. And I saw a couple of inkers that talked about drawing, even as penciling, saying that some people threw a line and some people pulled a line. I think I throw more often than I pull, but there's a few that I pull. Mostly it's throwing. So I'm throwing the line instead of pulling the line. What do you think? Do you throw or pull? Yeah, as to what you were asking about whether or not I was going to link it, I was actually intending to color and scale instead of color for the most part using Copic markers, neutral glaze, just doing values, and then I wanted to do certain scenes and values as well. And for that, I'd probably paint. Because I have like a couple of red Copic markers, but they dried up really good. I was trying to avoid worrying about this. I guess. And the everything it's still looking simple. I'm gonna show these guy, but I don't want to focus on his craft. You know what I'm saying? No, what is it? Round two, well, let's see. Right, well, Copics, yeah, they're not cheap. Actually, I got some, I want to say Christmas. So, everybody's asking, generally, once at Christmas, it's stuff that I'm either gonna use or using. So, I got a set of 10. I think I got them for, I want to say $50 because they were on sale. But it's the complete scale with reindeer curls. And value-wise, that's all you really need if you're doing a basic value sketch. see if I can find one right offhand. I've done a few actually. Actually, the Mastiff one was a value sketch. The cover. Of course, when I'm looking for one, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find. Alright, so this writer-ish. So it's a value sketch that's done in grayscale, going from the darkest to the lightest. What I like about Copics, I don't know if you can see, but I can color over darker stuff with lighter and lighten it up a little bit. I can do that quite a bit and get some values lightened up. But yeah, like that was my thinking for doing this, is do it in value, and then and value in grayscale for the most part, and then in certain key scenes, like because he's a detective, which we've said a few times now, when he's deducing or when he discovers something that he's deduced, I thought it would be cool if like what he's thinking is either coming up in red or green or something like that, and just scaling that, or the past history of what's going on would show up in red or green. But maybe, you know, like even if I was doing a murder scene or something, showing it through a different perspective. He talks about doing anything that's from his point of view, like directly in his eyes, being all values of red. Frank Miller in Sin City did very limited colors. He did some blues for blue eyes that were supposed to be outstandingly blue. He did red in a few scenes, ties and such, bits, and he did the Yellow Bastard, which was obviously yellow. So I thought, instead of just doing one flat color, which I do understand his reasons, and he's a great storyteller, so that all has to go into the examination of his decision making. But I thought to change it, but keep it in scale, would make it feel more realistic. Or if anyone's ever been so angry that they literally saw red, they know what I'm talking about. That's kind of what I was thinking about with him. trying to focus on homing painting skills. Yeah, do that too. That do pretty much anything by commission. There's limits on subject matter, but for the most part, I can even visually color. I put away my tablet for a long time now since I moved, which we moved into a smaller place because rents are swelling here and a lot of people without homes, so we had to take a week to get when we had to move. So there was a big market. It was a hospital in Tacoma, and we ended up having to move from the place that we were because they had sold it. So oh, thanks.
How? That how?
No, it's not the Hulk. It looks like him because he's got muscles, yeah. So yeah, things are moving. Pretty much, it wasn't what our plans were, but a lot of the stuff either got downsized and went by the wayside, or I had to pack up, and this place is so smaller that I didn't have enough room to open or unpack a lot of stuff. Although this is I got a little space here that I'm working in, but that space it's enough for me to work in happily. I was actually trying to figure out what I was going to do about double page spread here. Figuring it out. I would advise, if you're working on painting, first of all, you figure out the medium that you want to work with, and then buy a bunch of lower canvases that fit the bill. And when I was water painting, when I first got out of the hospital, I had a little watercolor journal that some other apprentice had brought me that I only started thinking about using before I went in. So I already had that, and I bought a different size pad after that. Let's see, where's the hand? Yeah. So when I started playing with, so don't get me wrong, I've been doing acrylics and oils for a while, but oils are kind of dangerous if you breathe them in or breathe in the solvents. So I got some gouache and I got some watercolors, and that's kind of what I was going to advise if you're doing like watercolor. See, watercolor and gouache. this is what I started with, the watercolor. The Winsor and Newton Cotman watercolors, and you can buy any inserts you want to put in here. You don't have to go with what they have, but it comes with a little travel brush. Which I really like until I put it away and bend one of the bristles. I still like it, but I have to work with it to get there. And then I got another set of Cotman watercolors on a different tray, because this tray has a water tray, and you can, there's a tray that you can pull this out, and becomes a palette. And it has a brush. And that tends to be the trend for them. But each one of them costs about $50. So I'm about $100 into it, but it's definitely been worth it, because I've sold pieces that covered the price. And I also have wash, which is, this is Winsor & Newton wash. I have some basic colors, because if you know what you're doing with colors, you can mix them. You need black, you need white, you need red, you need your primaries, blue, yellow, red, and I have a green as well. You can also buy them separately, and I've been working with both of them. I wanted to show you this little pad, because as far as practice, this was great. So what it did was, just get something loose, and then I just started playing with color. Yeah, I have a set of koi also. They're very cheap, and the thing about koi is that they are not they don't saturate brightly. So like, even at your highest saturation, they're not as bright as they could be. But the guy was practicing, different colors with value. So I wanted to go from darker to lighter to matching the same value, and not necessarily being the color you'd expect. Like green and purple are opposites, but if you put green and purple next to each other and don't really notice the change, because you basically just see a shade, then you succeeded in that, and that's a Beretta trick. So I expanded, and this is a little one, little pad, but this is good watercolor paper, and got a lot of colors, got a lot of room to play around. Again, you're playing the values with different colors. It's like showing you my sketchbook. That's from the story I was reading at the time. And again, values, but I wanted to do a hot and cold with the values. They're not super detailed. I couldn't get super detailed, but I wasn't trying to. I was trying to lay out an idea. So it's a little sketchbook. You can use it however you want to, but if you want to practice with watercolor, this is a great way to do it, because you can carry it around with you and you can pretty much do it anywhere. I usually keep that lower kit that I showed you. That's what I did with these with, and I'll take it around with me. I've got a little black bag that I keep everything in, and just lay my ideas out. It, they may become something later on. They may not become something later on, but I still get to practice. I get the blending of color. I get the layering of color. Uh, so you don't have to commit to them. You know, you're committing to practicing the watercolors and the use of color. You're not, committing to. I have a great sense of color, so I have to laugh at that because I don't. What I did was looked a little bit. I studied these other paintings. I studied a lot of different other paintings. Saw how they used color, and I'm just as much at a loss sometimes as what I'm going to do for color when I do something. I just have a knowledge of what colors are complementary colors and what colors blend well and what colors gray out when you put them together. But that was you had to learn to get there. That's why I'm touted for my hot and cold colors, or you can call them cool and warm, hot and cold, whatever. But that's what I practice with a lot. I wanted to, meet somewhere in the middle, be able to blend them, so I get my hot and my cold, my warm. This was, that's the first thing I did when I woke up from a coma. So, it may not look great to anybody else, but it looked great to me. And I did this, and that was really kind of when I came into my own blending colors, because I went through as many colors as I could, and I was able to show the fading from the brick to the face. That's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, if anybody's wondering. I wasn't thinking about it at all, really. I didn't have much room to move. I only had this, a pencil and a watercolor kit, and I was actually confined to a bed for a while, so it was just conceptually what I came up with and what I was working with to see what colors work together. And I figured out that I could layer those colors and color over other colors when they dry. Still get pretty detailed. See if I can show that. So I, carry this around. That's the whole thing. It's an idea. Carry it around. You see something you like, see something that you want to emulate or learn how to do. Have it there. Have it at hand so you can lay that idea out. I had it at hand so that I could lay the idea out, or if I was waiting on my wife in the grocery store or something like that, I could do this if I was waiting at a diner, or if I was at an event where everybody else really wanted to do that and I just didn't, but I was there for a presence. I had something to do with the time that I was there. I got a little kit. where I keep a cup, little cap cup that I can take with some brushes. They're not great brushes, but they're good enough to weigh these ideas down with. None of these are top of the line brushes that I was using when I painted that. Then I got a slightly bigger watercolor journal because Dave was doing gouache, and I got some cheap gouache, and they were doing Captain America, so I kind of laid out of Captain America and did this with cheap gouache, and then decided that I was not going to work with the cheap gouache if I can avoid it, and moved on. That's watercolor, and that was starting to build up, but I haven't gotten where I wanted to yet. But it's bigger, so it's a bigger canvas. I got beginning to do more with it. But this right here would probably fit in that other pad. So practicing doing it small and getting all the fades that you want that are small will help you expand. And I've got ideas I haven't really even fully achieved yet. And then that's like an underpainting. So something for the way. But yeah, I mean, if you have something, and you can do this as I did this at a Smash Up Derby that my boy wanted to watch, and while we're waiting for sundown, I was doodling on this. So keep it around, you have something to do. Have something to practice. Like a lot of that stuff I didn't go in with any plan. I just went in with some time and wanted to do something. I never underestimate the power of doodling. That's why you'll see all the time in the David Finch fan server when someone talks about having artist block or any of that stuff. First thing I tell them to do is not to have anything set in their minds so that they don't feel like they fail. If you're just doodling, there's no pressure. So like if there's no pressure, you pretty much can't do it wrong, right? And if you can't do it wrong, that gives you absolute freedom to do whatever you want. And you'll never get it wrong. You'll always get it right. So that's my stance on that. There's so many people who really are seeking perfection, and there's no such thing as perfection. It's the right thing in the right moment for the right fit to what's needed, and that's pretty much about it. Once you get pretty good at that, then I guess I should run this shadow right up onto the forearm. That way there's no confusion later on with this line. The confusion is called a tangent. But these are don't those that haven't figured it out and me creating them all the time and then going back and fixing it. Now I've got to find my reference to the character I created. I'm morphing him a little bit. That's the great thing, I guess, about creating the imagery is that I can do whatever the hell that's whatever the hell I want. Alright, reference time. And what did it anymore? He should at least have some semblance to this guy. Although I'm thinking I'm liking this guy a little bit better. He looks a little bit more dog-like in this one than that. All right, so I'm already ahead of the game. 3-2 lead. He's masked a little bit. I guess technically I'm pinging a lot, but it's not for nothing. We think. I actually think in this room, they actually can find it because world building has guaranteed originality and documents. Yeah, so we discussed that before, that Brandon's pretty much a master of magic systems. So the world building has a lot to do with the magic system. And you finished it, so you know what I say is true. You like the new face over the old face? I think it's I actually did a little bit of manga reading between the time that the original design came out and now. So I don't want enough of them to look like that because it's supposed to be able to come around enough. Post-apocalyptic story, so manga is pretty much a master of the post-apocalyptic story. I think pretty much most people will agree with me there. If not, well, I agree enough to want to redesign it a little bit to feel a little bit more manga-ish. Also, manga gives you a design you can replicate. Easier because that's pretty much the theory with manga. You will see some manga influence going into this further. I've seen some fine examples of type of setting I want. Yeah. Well, the other one is much closer. It's a little bit bigger. The old one was an idea, it was a concept sketch, and I really liked the lettering, and I've never been completely happy with it, but happy enough to go on with it. And to like the idea, he does look short, he does have that dog-like look. I want this guy to look almost as wide as he is tall. But, like I said, also, I don't know how much it's going to matter in the end. This may end up just being an exercise. Maybe just getting raffled off to somebody. This project was started with web and wouldn't really feel right about continuing it without that. But of course, I guess technically this is not the same as that guy is, but only because I made a few visual changes. The story that so far is what Brett created. I was not thinking of a detective-ish story, so I like it, but I wasn't thinking of it. My thoughts were, I don't know, more like a Conan of the future, or Conan mixed with Jason Bourne of the future originally. See how that goes. Gotta say, I'm playing everything on instinct to not put beams in this picture. Not really, not fancy. Hmm. I'll just sacrifice that little piece. That'll make that all black. And there'll be no confusion. Thank you. So I just have to do some like putting in this. Not much. Talking to myself apparently. Just been going over and over, changing some muscle structure, changing some knuckle structure. Committing the outside line, making sure the mask seems legible. Everything seems right. So I'm gonna finish these pages because that was my commitment. Then after that, I don't know what I'm doing. I might have a commission. I might do some painting if anyone's interested in painting with me. I was taking suggestions for the panel before. Now we have a direction. I don't know if they have one in the so after this, what's next? I suppose I'll take a vote. See if anybody's got some ideas. Or one of those. This one might take a little while. So I think I'm going to treat every character like this because I've got no luck and no further steps. Uh, well, I was talking kind of low. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, was I'm going back a little bit, but that water, I don't think you'll be disappointed having a watercolor pad to take around, the watercolor journal. Uh, I'll find the name of mine. It's not necessarily cheap, but I haven't filled it yet, and I've been working on it for a while. I wouldn't say bury yourself so far into it that you're not doing anything else. But yeah, I mean, like if you want to focus on that for a while, that and you don't have another thing to focus on, that's definitely not gonna do wrong by you. The, the, the suggestions were like, I don't know what I'm doing after this. I'm gonna do this double page spread, which is pretty much all that I have planned, all that I have scripts for. And then we don't have this commitment any longer. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do after that on the channel. So that's what I was talking about, suggestions of, like if you want to paint and you want to paint with me or whatever, then I suppose I can compose a painting. Like I've got a character to play around with, I guess. Sometimes the lines have got to be right, even if that's not the place that you're supposed to. It's that artistic license thing. It's pesky, but useful. Yes, I'm starting to get a little tired. This is going on in my own mind. I'm gonna mute it for a second. No, Fred did not write the whole book. Fred wrote 7 pages, which I condensed into 5, one of them being a double page spread. That is not to say that he had an idea of the plot and where the story was going, but the idea was not fully executed. He might have gotten more pages into it than I got script-wise, but the world will never know. The idea of Blue Line, for those that didn't get it, so you wouldn't have all these pencil lines to erase later on. But I feel like it's kind of visceral working this way. Like, throwing the pencil my whole way. So. Yep. I don't know if he's coming back or not. I mean, we have a writers group that we share, and both of us read what we've been writing prose-wise for each other this past Sunday. But not one word was mentioned about Scream. Not one word was mentioned about comic. So I'm as in the dark as everybody else. That's why I took a week off, because we haven't had any contact about the comic, and I didn't know how he felt about it or what was going on, because it was a really stupid thing to rage quit over, and a really stupid thing to end this collaboration on, because it really didn't have anything to do with the collaboration. But that is not my decision. as you can see, I didn't want to stop because I really liked where we were going. So I'm finishing what was there. And I guess if I don't see it, I'll just sell the pages off to anybody that's interested in buying it. The downside is every time you go over something, it lightens whenever you're running your hand over. And, I've got a piece of paper towel, but I think that's kind of helping to smear some of this in. This is the opposite of the effect that I'm in. Unless I'm just them. Oh, let's see. Well, that wasn't about politics. If you really went back and watched, it wasn't a political divide. It was discussing whether or not, like, what the main argument was, and was kind of ridiculous. It was apparently a librarian who throws a Comic Con, which it's a 9,000 person Comic Con, said that comics were a good gateway to literacy. And he found fault in that, did not like it, was upset about it. I thought it was pretty accurate because his definition of literacy, I guess, is being able to read. So he's talking about literate versus illiterate. But I don't think that that's what she meant. I think she meant gateway to being interested in reading. And he may have had a better choice of words, but I didn't think it was that bad of a choice of words. It's a small matter. And then the argument was people learn to read with the Bible, and I was like, so I know a lot of people that didn't learn to read with the Bible. I don't know a lot of people that read the Bible. I know a lot of people that are Christians, and a lot of those don't even actually read the Bible. They have it read to them at church or whatever, but I didn't learn to read on the Bible, and I didn't really know anybody who did. And then I said that the Bible wasn't available for people to even learn to read on until it was made available in the language of the people. That would be the vernacular. But Martin Luther, he was the first one that did that. And when he did that, was in German. And then he was like, well, there was nothing to read before the Bible, but that's not true. And then he moved the goalposts and was like, there was no novels before 1700, so they had to teach them to read on the Bible. Well, that's not true either, and he didn't like hearing that, and literally talked over me and then quit. It wasn't about politics. That wasn't politics. I'm actually researching and writing about King Arthur, and the reason that we have any stories of King Arthur is because somebody wrote novels of King Arthur in the 14th century. So, the death of King Arthur, Le Mort d'Arthur, that's been around since that long. The first novel was actually written in Japan in the 1100s. The first one that was mass-produced in the West, west of Japan, that I know of, Le Mort d'Arthur was France, and that was building off the history of the kings of Britain. But also, he basically didn't want me to finish what I was saying, and because it was an argument that was opposed to what he was trying to say. And I wasn't trying to start a fight. As a matter of fact, before the show, I said I didn't want to talk about certain topics because I didn't want to start a fight. It ended up starting to fight anyway, but the truth is the truth. There was stuff to read. There weren't novels in mass production, but Don Quixote was out in the 1600s. And almost everybody I know has heard of Don Quixote. They've heard of King Arthur, and if you have, then that's because it was written down. So, all of that, just bears out that there was things to read. Whether or not they were in novel form or in popular novel form. And mostly what he was talking about, the novel that he's talking about, was because there was printing presses in the early 1700s that you could mass print them. But there were other copies of other novels before that. But there was also a lot of popularity with short stories. The first science fiction short story was written in ancient Greece. About a man going to the moon. So, like, I'm sorry that he didn't agree and that he was pissed, but then he started over talking me, and I felt like that was pretty rude to come on my channel and tell me what his opinion was, and then over talk me when I was trying to say, my end of it, and then rage quit. So, like, I haven't, gone to try to make up or whatever because I didn't do anything. I just stayed around and finished drawing, as you know, because you were there. But the subject wasn't politics at all. But like I said, it was really something inconsequential. We were just talking about sources of reading, and that whole thing started over whether or not comics is a way to bring into reading. Like, she just said it in a way that he didn't like. That's what she was meaning, but he was taking it as like it's primer and it's insulting towards comic readers, and I didn't think that she meant it that way at all. I don't think there's anything to do with politics. I guess there could have been, but nothing that I had seen and nothing that I was putting out there. I didn't think there was anything Brett was putting out there that was politics either, so I just thought it was an odd hill to die on, I guess. But there's enough for him to be done, so I don't know. I respect him, and I respect that if that's, the way he wants to end this, then that's the way he wants to end it. I can't end it until I finish what I started. So, you guys are either lucky or unfortunate, because I'm not quitting until I'm done with what I'm doing. Going over where the pages divide. It's pretty difficult. Takes some getting used to. Especially when you're used to throwing your lines. Lost everybody now, didn't I? I guess. I'm gonna clean this one up. Yeah, you can. I was gonna ask if you guys can see it. I can't see while I'm working. And I've got a small window that I can see from so that I can look up references if I need to. I was going to look up a reference with this one. I didn't end up doing it. I probably should. Maybe I will tomorrow. See if I can turn any of it out. Almost. Oh, a sad one. And by one, I mean is this one that's came into the sitting in place. Right. Now you'll notice that I'm not erasing all the scratches off. And that's because when I come back in and decide where I'm going to commit the white source to, like I have some shape to work from on the shadow side. Obviously the white source is going to be from above because the city is an enclosed environment. But there's several lights in an enclosed environment, so it comes from above, but maybe not from just one direction. But you want to see the whole thing at some point? Yeah, me too. That was the idea of starting it in the first place. It was supposed to be a fan comic. And we were hoping that that people will be coming to the channel and putting input in, and when the final product is done, maybe, you know, buying a copy and having a souvenir of this, or having the artwork, or you want to put it, or you want to look at it. Definitely, we're hoping at some point to make a little bit of money off of it for all the effort that we're putting in, but this isn't a work for money. It's a work for love. So yeah, he looks pretty powerful, huh? Should I focus in and take a little bit of extra space for him? Yeah, looks like we can do some damage, huh? Alright, well, no, Adam is walking. I don't know who else is. I do have an idea that I might know one of the viewers that never talked. But it could be wrong. So anyway, as usual, thank you guys for watching. And thanks, Adam, for giving me some conversation and some support. It's looking good. I'm having fun. I'm going to take my time drawing the rest of the characters in this scene, because this may be very well the last scene. So, God bless. Good night. Much love.